Iraq. And here we go. Sorry if it sounds like I'm a little rusty, as I'm struggling a little bit with it. And so yeah, here we go. As starting off with history as usual. Now starting off with like ancient history and all that. As yeah, it does go back a while, some time. As yeah, Mesopotamia was a name for an ancient region where modern Iraq now stands, as a Greek word, and is a Greek word meaning like between two rivers, as Mesopotamia was a fertile crescent wedged between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, which gave birth to some of the most earthly and advanced of ancient civilizations and all that. And yeah, and then after the Mesopotamians, there was the Sumerians, which is like one of the most ancient civilizations in the world, and came from ancient Iraq. And the Sumerians were credited with creating the first identifiable written language sometime around 4000 BC. And they were also among the first pioneers of agriculture. And then in the ancient city of Babylon, the capital of a region called Babylonia, lies in modern day Iraq, and its ruins can be found about 80 kilometers south of Baghdad. The most sophisticated legal code of the ancient world came from Iraq, introduced by King Hammurabi, whose dynasty ruled Babylonia from 1793 to 1590 BC. It was the first known legal code that takes into account whether a crime was committed intentionally or not, and it makes it the precursor to the mens rea principle, and which like the modern criminal legal system is based on in some places, like which can be like found in England and all that, as I've counted it in like my law degree and all that, and like my BTEC applied law and all, as like the mens rea is kind of like finding whether there was the intention to commit something or not, as and then there's also the actus rea, which is the action, as like mens rea and actus rea generally go hand in hand, as mens rea is attention while the actus reus is the action of it, like carrying it through and all that. You don't really find like one without the other. And yeah, and the biblical Tower of Babel is believed to have been in ancient Iraq. During the 6th century BC, Babylon was the site of an imposing ziggurat, like a grand graded temple tower, which many believe was the site of the infamous tower. And during the reign of Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II from 604 to 562 BC, Babylon became the biggest city in the world, and in 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar II conquered Judea and sacked Jerusalem, destroying King Solomon's temple and carrying off thousands of Jews to Babylonia. And this period was known to the Jewish population as the Babylonian captivity and all. And yeah, and there are even some reports that Saddam Hussein used to see himself as like the modern day Nebuchadnezzar, as like fit to assume the mantle of the leader of the Arabs and the strongest power in the region. And there are many Bible stories set in Babylonia, like from the Old Testament and all. And as a told that Daniel once worked as a soothsayer, interpreting Nebuchadnezzar's dreams. And the great biblical patriarch Abraham came to the city of Ur in ancient Iraq, as Nebuchadnezzar is also said to have built a legendary hanging city, Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, as Nebuchadnezzar II also said to have built the legend. And yeah, in the Old Testament, God sends Jonah to the ancient metropolis of Nineveh, near the northern Iraqi city of Mosul, and to warn people to change their wicked ways. considering Mosul is still around and most of the changed in part and all that. And in the New Testament's book of Revelation, the destruction of Babylon was foretold. And in ancient times, Baghdad was built on the west bank of the Tigris. I've lost where I was, and around it, and was also known as Madinatu, Salam, or City of Peace, and many other legendary Arabian Nights tales are set in and around 8th century Baghdad, and where the Abbasid Caliphate or the Ottoman Empire established its capital. As Baghdad of Harun al-Rashid, spelled R-A-S-C-H-I-D, whose features in many Arabian Nights tales, was a very cosmopolitan city where foreigners from Cathay, known as China at the time, and Hindustan, which was India, and Nubia, like a sub-Saharan Africa, mingled in the souks or marketplaces. And at its prime, Baghdad was famed as the wealthiest and most dazzling city in the world. Before the sea route between India and Europe was discovered in 1497, and it was like a centre of trade full of caravanserais, like caravannings and all. And the legendary warrior Saladin, who recaptured Jerusalem from the Crusaders in the 12th century, was born in Tikrit, which was near Saddam Hussein's native village. As Saddam also made comparisons between himself and Saladin. And in 1257, Genghis Khan's grandson, Hulagu, led an invasion which utterly destroyed the Islamic capital of Baghdad. As the Mongol army made a pyramid of schools of Baghdad scholars, religious leaders and poets. And Saddam Hussein had also called President Bush the Hulagu of this age, and warned the US that the people of Baghdad have resolved to compel the Mongols of this age to commit suicide on its walls in the end. It was reported by the BBC Online. And in Iraq is an Arabic word for the Arabic settlement in the area in the 7th century as the British formed the modern state of Iraq, when they amalgamated from the 3 disparate provinces of Basra in the south, Baghdad and Mosul in the north. In the aftermath of World War I, when the ruling Ottoman Empire had collapsed, and the modern state of Iraq became independent in 1932. And yeah, since then there's been like the Gulf War, the Iran-Iraq War, Saddam Hussein rose to power in 1979 and then fell from power in 2003 in the Iraq War, where he was subsequently executed and all. And yeah, moving on to legends. It's like, and then there's like ISIS and all that, and which is trying to take over parts, which is kind of taking over parts of it. And then yeah, moving on to legends. As yeah, Iraq speaks Arabic and all that, which I kind of mentioned yesterday in Kuwait and all. And I will be talking about Islam a little bit, but in a later video at some point in the near future and all. As yeah, I'm going to be talking about Mesopotamian mythology. And yeah, as mythology, myths, epic hymns, lamentations, tale of songs, incantations, wisdom, literature, and handbooks dealing with rituals and omens of ancient Mesopotamia. Yeah, the literature has survived. From Mesopotamia was written primarily on stone or clay tablets, as the production of the preservation of written documents were the responsibility of scribes, who were associated with the temples and the palace. As a sharp distinction cannot be made between religious and secular writings, as the function of a temple as a food redistribution centre meant that even seemingly secular shipping receipts had a religious aspect to it, and in a similar manner laws were perceived as given by the gods. Accounts for victories of kings were often associated with the favour of the gods and written in praise of the gods, as the gods were also involved in the establishment and enforcement of the treaties between political powers of the day, as large groups of texts related to the interpretation of omens has survived, because it was felt that the gods could be known throughout the signs that the gods revealed. Care was taken to collect ominous signs and the events that were preached and all. And if the signs were carefully observed, negative future events could be prevented by the performance of appropriate apotropaic rituals, and among the more prominent of the omen texts are the Shuma Isbu text, which observed the birth of malformed young of both animals and people, and later in similar series of texts observed by the physical characteristics of any given person, and dream omens are represented but are relatively rare, and there are also omen observations to guide the physician in the diagnosis and treatment of patients. In the largest collection of omens, containing more than 100 tablets, is entitled "If a City is Situated on a Hill," ... and several types of prayers have also been preserved, as prayers being with the praise of a deity, then moved to the request or complaint of the worshipper, and the end of the anticipatory praise of a deity for the deliverance which is expected, and other prayers were conjurations to rid the worshipper of various maladies through the intervention of the gods, and some prayers were laments, while others praised a given deity, and a few explicitly ritual texts have survived as significant in the Babylonian Year's Festival was reading of a creation epic entitled Enuma Elish, and these tablets begin with a genealogy of the gods, followed by an account of the creation of heaven and earth, from the body of Tiamat, who had been slain by Marduk, and the rise of Marduk, the rulership over the gods, and the underlying theme of that specific epic. As part of the organisation of the universe, mankind was created from the blood of Kingu, the cohort of Tiamat, and Babylon was established as Marduk's city. And another famous text is a Gilgamesh epic, which has the 12 tablets of the epic began at the end of the walls of Uruk, the city which Gilgamesh founded. And the story itself tells of the exploits of Gilgamesh and his friend Enkidu. And a prominence among these adventures is the defeat of the monster Humbaba, guardian of the Cedar Mountain. And while the death of Enkidu, Gilgamesh turns his effort towards a quest for immortality, which eventually brings him into contact with such figures as Utnapishtim, who because he survived the floods, was granted immortality, and as 3 times Gilgamesh nearly attains his goal, in order to have it slip away and all, and several stories from Mesopotamia deal with the theme of immortality. And the myth of Adapa was summoned to the gods because he had broken the wings of his south wind, and due to the warning of his divine father, Ea, he refused to eat or drink the food of the gods offered to him, which would have granted him immortality. A different type of immortality was related in the story of Etana, the king of Kish, who without children, in order to reach the plant of birth, he freed an eagle from captivity and rode it back to the heavens. Other Mesopotamian myths include the story of Atrahasis. He was a wise man who was saved from the flood after being warned by one of the gods to build a ship to save himself. As the myth of Ishtar's descent and return from the end of the world was evidently connected with the cycle of fertility and all. As the story of Nergal and Ereshkigal told how Nergal became ruler of the underworld, and the Epic of Era explained how Marduk, the god of Babylon, left a city in charge of other deities, which led to the destruction of the cities. And this epic ends with the return of Marduk and the renewed prosperity of the city. And the work "Let Me Praise the Lord of Wisdom" has been compared to the Book of Job and describes the suffering of a prince abandoned by his god. And praise to God Marduk becomes a focus on which the situation is later reversed and all. And yeah, that's it. This is Bibliography, and I'll see you shortly for the third and final country state, which is Armenia. So yeah, bye for now.